Hey guys, Buffin Gaming back, bringing another video, and today we're going to cover the blueprint for the MP5 called the Heat Cycle. So I'll show you how to unlock this, talk you through the different objectives you need to make, because some of them are pretty difficult, and then we'll check it out in-game, see how the base blueprint is, and then I'm also going to show you my preferred setup for this particular blueprint and the MP5 in general. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So this is the final design for the Heat Cycle that you unlock with the Run and Gun challenge in the barracks. So this is the final design. You can see it looks pretty neat. The attachments for this, you're running a compensator, FSS Mini, PBX Hollow. You're running an FSS close quarter stock, and the 10mm magazine. So that's the final design for this. Now to unlock it, if I go over to my barracks missions and challenges, so this is the challenge you need to do right here called Run and Gun. You can see there's the final design that we just saw for the Heat Cycle. So first up is 5 headshots with an SMG. And now that in itself, pretty easy. You can do that just with the base MP5, any blueprint you have. Next up is get 50 kills with an SMG in the secondary slot of Overkill. So for this, I was just running like a primary, maybe an AK, or if you're, and then I would put the MP5 in the secondary or whatever submachine gun you want to use. And then also if you're doing ground war, you can put a sniper or something like that in your primary and then this in the secondary. So that goes pretty quick as well. Next up is get 75 kills using an SMG while having Golem as your coalition operator. So this one, again, easy, but Golem himself is, you can only unlock through one of the Spec Ops missions. So here's Golem here. This is the character you get for doing one of the Spec Ops missions. So if we jump over to co-op quick, I'll see if I can show you this one. The Operation Kuvalda, this is the one you need. So assault Alakim's base of operations and mark his weapons for airstrikes, spiking the AQ foothold in Verdansk. So this one, again, we did it probably around took maybe 4 tries to do this one. And then your reward there is gonna be Golem, what you get unlocked for your operators, and you need him to complete that next part of the challenge there. So you can see this is Golem and his different outfits here. So for that particular Spec Ops operation, what you need to do is you need to plant a bug in the server room, and then you need to basically go to 3 different computers throughout the map to hack into the computers, and you need to scan through the files for boxes, and you're gonna have to mark the boxes and mark them from airstrike. So it's a pretty easy but long mission, I guess. Me and my buddy did it with 2 randoms and it went pretty fast. Key tip is to make sure you have a sniper in the highest tower on the map. So when you get in there, you'll see a very high radio tower far right of the map where the enemy likes to set up mortars. We had a sniper up there the whole time, and we were able to get through him on Overwatch as we move station to station, because you're going to get some heavy resistance. So that's Golem. You unlock him by completing Operation Kuvalda in Spec Ops. And now if we go back to the barracks, so the next one that you get after that 75 kills using Golem is get 100 kills with an SMG with Tracker perk equipped. So Tracker is that 3rd slot perk, and you can see enemy footsteps. So that one, again, pretty easy. You don't need to do anything special. You just need to have it attached as your perk, and it goes pretty quick. You can see the footsteps, so it does help if you're chasing somebody or you happen to see red footsteps. It means that someone was just there, so it does help you track people down for sure. Next up is get 20 kills with an SMG in gunfight mode. So this one currently only OSP is going on, and it actually went pretty quick. I was able to just locate where the SMGs were on the specific maps that we were playing. I would just make sure I beeline for them each time and basically just rushed the enemy pretty heavily every game and was able to get it. I think probably took me maybe 4, maybe 5 gunfight games, if that. That's probably a little much. Maybe 3. It went pretty quick. Next up is get 90 Hipfire kills with an SMG using a laser attachment. So for this one, I would recommend, this one went pretty quick. You don't need, it's not headshots, you just need to get Hipfire shots. You probably want to use the 1 milliwatt, that way it's not traceable by enemies, they can't see it visibly. Or I did use a 5 milliwatt sometimes as well, depending on the situation, but again, that's visible, so it did give me away a few times. So the 1 milliwatt I think is fine. It doesn't really have any impact that I noticed on your hipfire accuracy. And again, that went pretty quick as well. So I used, for these 100 kills, mainly Shoot House 24/7 went pretty well for me on that one. I had to use that for a few of these challenges, but this was pretty good using Shoot House for that 100. Or I'm sorry, it's where is it? 90 Hipfire kills with the SMG. So that went pretty quick using that 1 milliwatt laser on Shoot House 24/7. Next up is get 50 kills with an SMG and equipped with Double Time Perk. So again, very easy. Just have the Double Time Perk. It increases your mobility and sprint duration, super sprint duration. So it makes you very mobile and you're able to run and gun as the challenge says. So next up, get 15 throwing knife kills. So for this particular one, I used shrapnel in my third perk slot. That way I have 2 throwing knives for that. And I got this one pretty quick. Maybe took 3 games. And it's funny, I'm still running throwing knives now because I got good with them. And you're doing this running and gunning and you have the throwing knives that come in handy. And you can pick them up off of the dead players that you kill. So I find myself, you go on maybe 4 or 5 kill streaks just with the throwing knives. So it's actually pretty fun to use. Next up is, and the last one, is get 30 kills with an SMG on enemies near smoke. So for this one, what you would need to do, it's not very clear, and I found this out the painful way, is by trial and error, and then I looked up on Reddit for some suggestions with different challenges that people were doing. But you need to be, your player needs to be in the center of the smoke. So I would recommend running, if we go to my class setup here, I would recommend running, you're going to want, for that third perk slot, you're going to want tune-up. That's going to recharge your field upgrade by 33%, and then for your field grade, run an ammo box. That way you have the opportunity to get 2 smoke grenades per game. Now, for your sight, you need to be in the center of the smoke. So it doesn't matter if the enemy's in the smoke or not. You yourself just need to be in the smoke. So I would recommend for that one, if I go to my MP5 here, I would recommend using, for the sights, you're going to want a thermal equipped. That way you can see out of the smoke. So first up, I started with the thermal because I didn't have the hybrid one unlocked. So you need to be in the center of the smoke screen and use your thermal sight, and you can see out, and you can take out enemies very easily with that. And again, they can't see in unless they have thermals. And then when I unlocked it was the thermal hybrid. So this particular one, you have a candid red dot sight on the 45-degree mount. So you're able to swap back and forth, and you are able to use this in night maps as well. So mainly I've been playing realism lately. And whenever the night maps came up, it was a problem because using your laser in night maps made it very hard. You can't see outside of smoke, so it's mainly just getting lucky. So with this, I'm still able to complete that challenge on the night maps and realism as well. And again, you have that candid hybrid red dot sight for those of you that find the 3.25 zoom or just maybe the visuals of the thermal too much. But I personally love the thermal. So thermal hybrid is what I would recommend. Again, you need to be in the center of the smoke. And then your final reward after you do that one is the heat cycle blueprint. So here it is here. And we'll go ahead, I'll show you some gameplay. We'll jump into it here in a little bit. I did record some gameplay, but I'd rather just jump into a bot match and show you. That way we can just get into the more information. I'll show you some different things. So this is the final design. Personally, I'll run it as it is here, but personally the way I was running my MP5 for this challenge, first off, I started with the Sand Snake, and I was running this as is for the most part. And then for like the hip shot, the Hipfire challenges, you're gonna want to usually use a 45 round mag, and then like I said, that 1 milliwatt laser. And for this, I ran without a sight most of the time as well. So you'll find this is a pretty good setup here. And then once I got to the point where I wanted to switch, I used the Feeling Rusty, and my main setup for this, I used FFS Light, I got rid of the grip, underbarrel is running a Ranger, and I think that's, and then obviously for my optic, I was running the Integral Hybrid Thermal Optic here. So this was really my main setup when completing this challenge, was the Thermal Hybrid. So this was my main setup for the most part. And again, you have that candid hybrid iron sight or red dot sight there. So it makes it pretty easy. So any MP5, any submachine gun works. And then you get your final blueprint. So I'll show you the blueprint. We'll go into some gameplay just with the base heat cycle here. Personally, I like to run, I did a lot of gameplay with this one. I like to run it with the FFS Light, get rid of the compensator. I like the FTAC collapse stock, and I like to run it basically like this with the Ranger foregrip on there. And I find this is the kind of the better, keeps you your mobility's up versus what the heat cycle is on base. And you can also get rid of this holographic sight and put on the stipple pistol grip to help with your ADS speed as well. And this, you don't really need any optics with this, and it helps quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll jump into the game now just and show this off a little bit. And I have some other gameplay too that I'll probably throw up there. So let's go ahead. We have the base heat cycle selected. So let's go ahead and get into a private match and we'll check this out against the bots. So here we are in game with our heat cycle MP5, and you can see it does pop up as MP5K in your bottom right hand part of the screen there, obviously because you're using the barrel and the collapsed stock. So as we covered that in our weapon conversion episode for the MP5K, it will show up as the MP5K there. So you are still pretty mobile with this, and you have more stopping power because of these 10mm rounds as well that you're running on this. You can see overall it handles pretty well. So be sure to comment down below what you think of this weapon. Is it worth you unlocking? Have you unlocked it yet? I know in chat the other day a few of you guys we were starting our work for it, and a lot of you guys were wanting to unlock this particular blueprint. And I think overall it looks really nice. And the good thing is you swap out barrels for this, it doesn't really affect the visuals of the weapon. Obviously the buttstock might a little bit, but the different barrels on this, you kind of keep the same aesthetics, which is nice. You can see again, if I swap to it, we have our M13 here, and then we swap MP5K. So pretty neat. Doesn't say heat cycle like I know some of the other blueprints will say the blueprint name. So I don't know if that's a bug or not, but again, you're running the attachments for the MP5K. So with this particular challenge to get this blueprint, it really opened my eyes to like running and gunning in this game. Particularly, I run a lot of ARs, and your sprint to fire speed is a little slower. And then with the MP5K, the way I was running it for the majority of this challenge makes you play differently, especially with the throwing knives. And it's definitely a lot of fun, and you move pretty fast. So I would definitely recommend doing this challenge. It is definitely very fun to do, and you get this cool weapon out of it. So just allows you to further customize your MP5 by having this blueprint. So let me know what you guys think. I'm just going to leave you with this gameplay. I may throw in some gameplay that I recorded as well. I don't want the video to be too long, but let me know what you guys think. And until next time, Buckner Gaming, out.
Okay, got him. Changing mags.
We have a personal radar drone ready for escort.
We need recon. Send the flyover.
Copy.
Changing mags. I'm under attack.
Enemy at the shop. Target down. This is Falcon 3-0.
Okay, got it.
Calling the base.
Target marked. Hit them now.
This is Builder 2-0, good copy. Cluster strike away.
Enemy at the shop. We're halfway there.
Reload. Changing mag. Reloading.
Now that it's